Okay, hopefully. Oh my god. You know what? I'm just gonna leave up the 30 something minute rant from before. Y'all can just have that. It's a solo live stream y'all can just have and enjoy. I don't know what happened. I set it to public, but when it was rolling, I looked down and there was nobody, and I checked it, and it was like, "Oh, this is private." And then I couldn't edit it. It was like refused to let me edit. So I'm here now. Hello, Dark Wolf. I don't know. I thought it said Dank Wolf. I was about to make all kinds of jokes. I was like, that's not appropriate. Howdy. Good lord. Mm. Ugh. So let's see. What did I cover? I covered stand-up comedy. I covered um, racism in anime. I covered uh, a project that I'm working on, and I covered how work has been. Pick a topic. I'll cover them again. I have no problem. As long as I have plenty of water, my voice shouldn't go out. So, but kind of summarizing what had happened to me while you people come in, settle in, and hopefully actually chime in. Um, I just done some stand-up comedy Friday and Saturday, yesterday and the day before, and it's the first time actually coming back to doing comedy in a while, and actually went over really, really well. And it was actually back at a venue that I'd actually previously bombed. Um, I didn't do terribly, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like it wasn't like everyone hated me. It just wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be. But I came back and I did some old jokes, some new jokes, and they all went well. So uh, I don't know if I'm actually going to be coming back to comedy because comedy itself, the environment of comedy, isn't like the audience and kind of what people expect of comedians. And I mean, they're coming after Dave Chappelle. What chance do I have? Um, you know, I don't know. It's very hard to gauge whether or not it's an appropriate career choice. So, but I do have a handful of friends that if they ask me to do comedy or if they want me to open for them or host or whatever, I'd be more than happy to. You know, given certain parameters, certain circumstances. So that was that. Oh, good lord. Oh. Ugh. I don't know. Something's in my eye. Let's see. What else? Again, the other video is going to stay up if you want to listen to the full rant of that. But another thing that I wanted to talk about was people's kind of losing their shit over some choices that Funimation had made. And people kind of losing their shit over people getting upset with certain things that Funimation had made. And I'm always like smack dab in the middle of everything because I understand both sides. The reason that I'm neither on not on either side is because I have all the information. So I can quite regularly point fingers and laugh and mock both sides. So, very quick summary. There was a lot of people freaking out not that long ago when it came to a recently dubbed anime on Funimation called "Don't Toy with Me, Nagatoro." I believe that's what it is. Because the lead voice actress was black. Now, of course, hearing that, a lot of people were freaking out, saying that anyone who had a problem with it was racist. Now, I'm sure there were tons of people that were racist. In fact, I've read some tweets of some people that were racist. But the general people that had a problem with it had a problem with it based on a misconception, based on something that was not true. So before they had actually started casting for that anime, there was a group, there was a lot of people retweeting something, and this was not Funimation. Funimation had nothing to do with this that I know of. Were saying that the character should be voiced by a black voice actress because the character is black. The character is not black. And Funimation had also around that time had kind of announced that they had like a team or department that their specific thing was trying to find good non-white voice actors to kind of add to the pool. I have no problem with either of those things. I have no problem with with finding more non-white voice actors. I have no problem with that. It but from that, a lot of people thought that there was like some kind of um uh push to get rid of white voice actors. That's not what was happening. Not what was happening at all. So when Funimation announced that the lead voice actor was this black voice actress, um, the people assumed that that Funimation made that decision on purpose because they thought the character was black. And again, Funimation did not do that. That you know, misconception of the character and that kind of that action to find that team to try to find more non-white voice actors had nothing to do with each other. It had nothing to do with this. They had nothing to do with Funimation. Um, she just, was the best that they found. She was like they had an audition, had a bunch of mixed um, uh, demographics, and she was just the best one for for the job. That was it. Funimation has been doing this long enough. Everyone in Funimation has been doing this long enough that they know when a character is a certain race, so they're not confused or anything. Um, they, you know, I mean, it's not like they replaced every other, you know, voice actor or something like that. There's still white voice actors, voicing some of the characters on the show. Had nothing to do with it. So that's why people were freaking out, is that based on that misconception. And then there's people identifying all of them as racist. So that was kind of the kerfuffle that was going on around that. Like I said, Funimation's been doing this a long time. They know exactly what character is what race. They just, like a lot of voice actors, think that if you do the best job, if you do the best performance, you should get the role. It's voice acting. We can't see you. If you deliver the best performance as that character, you get the job. So that's it. But I'm done with that. I'm not going to cover any more of that. I was going to do a video on it, but I didn't want to do a whole video on it. It's just I really didn't like. I didn't like it. I just knew there was a lot of people asking, and I know there was a lot of people like freaking out about it, and so I kind of wanted to cover it because I did do some digging, and that's what I found out. There you go. But I've seen I've seen at least parts of the anime. It's really good. It's fine. You know, everyone does a good performance. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, you know, she's great. Everyone's great in it. The only problem that I have with it is that it sounds too much like Funimation. And what that means is that Funimation kind of has their thing. A lot of their animes, they're all well done. They're all well done. Um, they kind of have this kind of paint by numbers at this point. It's kind of very formulaic. They have a very tight system that all of their casting directors, their ADR directors, their writers, all their voice actors, they all kind of, you know, do the same thing. So if you're listening to any of their animes where, it's slice of life, rom-com, high school dramas, they're all basically going to kind of sound the same. Um, it's almost like factory produced rather than handcrafted. So it has kind of a Funimation sound, which is not a bad sound. It just, if I was to listen to an anime, I'm kind of getting to a point where I can kind of tell the difference between an anime that was produced by Netflix, Amazon, or Funimation. I'm kind of getting to that point because they do kind of have that sound. Again, it's not bad. It just, they have kind of this kind of usual, typical similarity, sameness. That's it. That's really the only thing. Someone messaging me. What? What are you talking about? Sorry, someone just messaged me. Have you run your project past? I don't know what that is. You could come onto the live stream. I'm doing a live stream right now. Oh, he is. Oh, okay, he is watching. um, uh, um, but if he's watching, I'll kind of talk about it. Kind of talk about the project, um, because I mean, I'm hoping that sometime soon I'm going to be putting together one of those Google forms for a talent pool, um, for any of my subscribers, for any friends on Twitter, for any friends on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Because I have some projects I'm going to try to start. I want to pitch a certain project before the end of the year, and it's kind of big, and there's going to be a lot of roles. Um, it's way bigger than this was. It's way bigger because this was just like me and two other voice actors. And it's not a parody like Mr. and Mrs. Stormtrooper, and it's not a fan dub. So I'm going to be able to monetize, and it's going to be my property. So I'm gonna be able to do whatever I want. It is a very, very big project. It's one I've been working on for a long time. It's got probably, as of right now, 26 episodes. It may end up with maybe 30 by the time I'm done, and it's gonna be split into 2 seasons. So it's gonna be like 12 to 15 episodes per season. And, I'm kinda putting together a pitch packet. Uh, it's got character sheets. It's gonna have, um, all the information on each character, and for anyone who's watched any of my rough animations or a lot of my random unnamed characters on Instagram, some of my art, a lot this there are a lot of them are connected to the same project. And again, it's very big. And I've never pitched animation before. I've pitched live action, I've pitched people scripts, I've done that kind of stuff. I've never pitched live action before, or never pitched animation before. It's a little different. It's a little different. It's it's a bit more in the area of I'd say it's harder to shoot. I mean, I'd say it's harder to make a pilot for for a good animated drama than it is to do a live action. Um, yes, the one with the hospital. Yes. There's a lot more to that though. It is way more than has to do with a hospital. That is just one scene that I really, really liked a lot. But yes, it is um very, like I said, a very big project. It's actually one. So I've been writing for many, many years. And sometimes when I write a lot of scripts, these small scripts, small stories, small characters, what I'll often do is I'll combine them because I'll stop writing them after a while because they lost something or I didn't know where to take them. But there was always something about it that I really, really loved. Sometimes I'll combine these stories together and to make some big story, make some bigger project, or to fill them out. And so this one is kind of based off some similarities um, of other stories. It actually um, kind of this was kind of a precursor to it a little bit. There's elements of this that's going to be there, but it's not as dark. Let's just say it that way. Um, and yeah, so I'm putting together some character sheets, some some pitches. Um, I have a cleaned up first episode, even though I have. I mean, I think I have like the first 5 episodes written. I have a full outline of the whole thing, so it's not like I don't know where the story's going. I hate it when people do that. They'll like pitch shows or pitch ideas to me, and they don't have an outline. They don't know where it's going. They just have like a really roughly written um, uh, first script. Um, uh, where am I thinking of pitching it? Oh, that's a great question. So I tried looking up. So there was a smaller studio for animation that also did like they were basically like an all-purpose small studio that did animation, they did foley, they did composing, They also did voice acting and stuff like that. That I was kind of like just friendly conversation, lightly talking to. I'm not going to name them because I didn't really have a good. Um, uh, it didn't really click. But I was talking to them, and they said that they would basically. If y'all have seen my Twitter, or you've seen the poll, or anything like that, or the Facebook message, talking about like they would only I wouldn't be able to hire my own voice actors. That was them. Um, but I am looking at things like Rooster Teeth. I am looking at things like, even though I know there's some iffy stuff with Rooster Teeth. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that one, but I would kind of consider, if I still had creative control and was still in charge of my own project. I'm cool with taking like a huge cut on not getting a lot, um, to make it, as long as it's not ruined. Um, but also maybe Amazon. I think Netflix is going to be impossible because they're only doing projects, animated, that are SAG. And from what I've heard, even though I do live in a right to work state, Texas is a right to work state, meaning even if it is Screen Actors Guild, um, they won't accept it. They will not accept it. I won't be able to, audition. I won't be able to do any project. So even if I'm in charge of it, because I'm not part of the union, I wouldn't have any control over my own project. So Netflix is out. There are a few others, but those are kind of the directions that I'm looking at it. Um, as far as hello, um, I am not awesome, Tim, but thank you. Um, how did the comedy show go? It actually went very, very well. So I did Friday and Saturday, yesterday and the day before, and it actually went over very, very well. This was actually a venue that I had done maybe like a year and a half ago, and it actually went over really, really poorly the first time, and I wasn't excited about coming back, but the room and the energy was so much better, and it was with basically, I have a handful of comedy friends who I will actually come back and do comedy for, and this was one of them, one of my best, comedy buddy friends. He was like one of my favorite like road comedy, companions, and he's basically been keeping in touch with this venue, and so he brought me back, and I did, two 15-minute shows yesterday and the day before, and they went over really, really well, really, really well. Very proud of myself, so that was very nice. Um, your mic is crackly. Let's see. Let's see what that is. Let's see if turning down the volume does anything. Let me know if that changes it. I kind of turned down the gain and kind of turned down the high frequency. So let's see if that changes anything. That's probably what it was. Probably just clipping. Okay, so okay, okay, good. Um, what exactly is the union in VO? I've heard of a million people talk about. The union is just the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, yeah, SAG-AFTRA. It's the same. It's the same for live action as it is, for voice acting. Um, it's it's just, uh, I've talked about the union many, many times. I don't have a huge positive opinion on the union. Not right now. I used to, but now they really kind of seem like they're making more trouble than the crackliness is still there. I got nothing for you. I got nothing. It's probably just, the streaming. Um, it's definitely not the mic. I can tell you that because I'm not hearing anything. So I'm sorry about that. I wish I had more control over this because the levels on here actually seem pretty low, but it's probably just not compressing right. Um. Anyway, yeah, the union is just SAG-AFTRA. It's the same thing, and Netflix has gone all SAG-AFTRA. They're not going to do anything that isn't SAG. Which, okay, so there's a couple of things. There are some things that are good about that. Let me say what it is. Um, the union basically makes sure that you are getting paid and compensated fairly, and there's enough coverage. And should you ever be screwed over by the studio, you should be represented in a way that will make sure that you're, again, compensated fairly, that you get what you're owed. That's the purpose of the union. However, the union is kind of muddying a lot of stuff up, and they're kind of making it really hard for, well, they're making it almost impossible for independent voice actors like me or anyone who's used to smaller projects and smaller studios from even actually functioning in some states, in some areas, in some countries actually. They're trying to completely take over video games. They're trying to take over anime completely, which is going to be impossible because anime is very, very hard to make any money. Uh, it's just not as lucrative as you might think it is, and in order for something to become SAG, it has to be very, very um, lucrative. There has to be enough. There has to be able to make a profit for both the studio, the actors, and the union, so that everyone can get paid fairly. And it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. So that's that. Let's see what else we got. Will you be doing more comedy shows in the future? Yes, but not any that I would be proud to advertise. Not saying that they're like so one show that I know I have coming up is like at the end of February, and it's in Lufkin. It's one of the worst countries, not countries, one of the worst cities. I almost consider it like a country because it's so isolated from everything else. It's in Texas, and it's so terrible to comedy and to creatives and to anyone who wants to innovate. It's horrible. It's horrible. So not a huge fan of going back there. I've always had terrible shows in Lufkin, and so anytime I'm doing a show in Lufkin, I don't even tell people. I don't want friends, I don't want family, I don't want anyone to see it because it's always gonna be the same miserable people, and I'm just gonna be bombing in front of people that I know. So, I don't really advertise that. However, if I ever do a panel, if I ever go to a convention and I do a panel, I will open with comedy just for all the people who've been wanting to see me do comedy. So there you go. I will do that. The crackling is there. The crackling is there. Yeah, I got nothing. So is the union just a safety net for actors? Yes. Okay. So the union. This is kind of a really rough summary. Um, almost like drunk history of the union. So back in the time of the silver screen era, um, there was a lot of actors. The time of like the Three Stooges, Abbott and Costello, those kind of guys. Um, Studios basically had all the power. This was a time of monopolies. This was a time of big studios and billionaires having just an insane amount of power. And so they would get actors and they would basically sign their lives away. Actors had no control over anything, and the studios were basically able to just screw them and ruin them. And had all control over their lives. Well, eventually, they also would try to sell, basically pay them as little as possible. Well, eventually, the studios tried screwing over some actors and some celebrities who had connections. And these connections basically kicked down the doors of these executives and these billionaires and told them to knock it off or they'd get knocked off. They get whacked. And thus basically created the union. And so the union was a way of, yeah, being a safety net for actors. And it was a way of kind of being the middleman to make sure that they got paid fairly. And so I love the creation of the union. I love that being an actor is now better, safer for everybody. But now they've kind of become a little bit more of a franchise. They've become a little bit more of a bank, and they operate a little bit. They do a lot of stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. But yes, that's essentially what they are. And again, that's a really poor summary of what the union is. Okay. Hi, I've been watching your content lately, and I just recently subbed. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Let me know what your favorite videos thus far, or your favorite topics thus far are. I'd love to know. Hey, sorry I'm late. No, you are not late. I'm late. I did this for 30 minutes all by myself with no one watching because I had it on private, and I don't know how that happened. So I'm really, really late. I'm like an hour late. You're fine. Working the late shift patrol, totally fine. God bless people that work graveyard shifts. Without them, there wouldn't be places for drunk and high people to go eat. there, there wouldn't be places to bandage wounds in the middle of the night. So, thank you for all you late night people. Would you rather be a legendary comedian or a voice actor? I would rather be well, I don't want to be legendary in any of these aspects, but I would rather be known as an actor and a voice actor. Um, I do enjoy comedy. I enjoyed the last 2 shows I did. I feel like everyone enjoyed them. Even with me not doing a lot of practice and not, having a written out set and me just kind of like improvising on stage for a good bit and doing crowd work. I do enjoy it. It is something that I enjoy. It is something that I originally set out to do. It's just kind of the mood and the scene now is not as healthy for comedy anymore. People just get upset. People want to get you canceled, and the whole point of a comedian is to push buttons, is to go the extra mile, is to be mildly offensive, not with the intention of hurting people's feelings, but just because you want to, um, you know, say something that's unique, say something that's different, say something that people are afraid to say. And even though I'm not offensive, I don't try to be offensive. I'm not completely clean. I used to work completely clean. Now, I'm okay with a curse word every now and then. I don't care, but I don't cover like really inappropriate topics. But even when I did an entire set, just me talking about myself, because I'm a short, goofy looking, fat guy, people were still getting offended on behalf of like who? I'm talking about me. Who are you getting offended on behalf of? And so I would rather be I'd rather have a stable career and a reliable career as a voice actor and an actor, just in general. What's your favorite role you've ever done? Um, if we're talking voice acting, that's really tough. That's really, really tough. There's a lot of stuff with Cartoon Hooligans that I like a lot. But I like drama. I like doing thrillers, drama, suspense, and I don't really get to do those enough. In fact, one of the reasons that I don't I've been acting for a while in Austin, but I have nothing to show for it. I have nothing to actually show what I've actually done. And the reason is all my dramatic stuff, all my saddest, maddest, most serious roles have all gone to film festivals and they've all died. They've all completely died in film festivals. Either one of two things will happen. Either the director, producer, writer, or whoever will take it to a film festival and will, you know, uh, you know, pitch it, and then no one has any interest in it, and then they'll just immediately drop it. Or they'll take it to a film festival, no one has any interest in it, and then they will just keep taking it to film festivals across the globe forever until the heat death of the universe. Which means if you're taking it to the film festival, no one is allowed to see any of the footage. Nothing can be shared, which means all of my best roles, my most dramatic stuff, I don't even have copies of. I don't have samples of. I can't showcase, even if I did. And I'm not able to get in touch with any of these actors anymore, or any of these studios, any of these producers, directors, writers, none of them. So I have none of that. And some of those were my favorite roles. I like the sad stuff. I like to make people cry. I like to be serious. I like to, no one has ever seen me in any of these roles. No one has ever seen me in any of this. And it's my favorite stuff. I like to be real. I don't like to be too goofy. I like to be, you know, more sincere. So, let's see. So I'd say a lot of the stuff that y'all haven't seen is probably my favorites. What else we got? How many minutes do you have stand up wise? Oh God, I have, as of right now. I think the longest I've ever done, well, that doesn't really count because half of that was improv. I think the longest I've ever done is 2 hours, and that was an hour of comedy and then an hour of just crowd work. It wasn't an amazing show. In fact, the second half was probably better than the first half. Um, but I have a solid hour. I have probably a good hour. I haven't done an hour in a long time. Um, Confidently, I think that my best runtime. I mean, I have more than an hour of material, but as far as like a solid set that's pretty good and confident from beginning to end would be an hour. I think most comfortably I'm 30 to 45 minutes. So, yeah, that's kind of it. But I can go a long time. I normally do a good bit of crowd work, which kind of fills it out. I like the crowd work. Love your channel, man. Keep them. Oh, common. Well, thank you. Let me know what kind of material or what kind of content or what kind of videos or topics you've liked so far. I would love to know. But thank you for stopping by. If you're either in the Dallas area, I'd love to buy you lunch. You've helped me so much with your videos. Oh, well, thank you. I don't think I'm going to be heading to Dallas anytime soon, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to be heading to Dallas anytime soon. I was trying to think of like, so I think one of the people, one of the friends of mine that I'm working with on something, I'm trying to think of where he lives. And I was like, I don't think he's in the Dallas area, so probably not. But if I am, I will try to remember. I'm really bad at remembering these kinds of things. I'm really terrible about it. Okay. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Hey Tim, I've been a subscriber since 2018. Thank you. Since before the Earth was on fire. Good, good, good. And your videos keep me motivated and still pursuing voice acting. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you have not been discouraged, despite the fact that I have a whole bunch of videos that could discourage and have discouraged some people. Just because I'm being honest. Just because I'm being honest. But good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Keep at it. People love to be offended over other people. I find yes, they do. People like to be offended. Um, People just like to be offended. There's some people that are just professionally offended. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who are intentionally trying to hurt people or aren't intentionally being harassing or bullying or stuff like that. Those do exist. Not every single complaint is unjustified, but there are people who seem to yell the loudest, who are just get an endorphin buzz, who are basically addicted to that feeling of rage. And they're the ones who are just ruining it for everybody. You were good as Nick Fury. I keep forgetting it was Nick Fury. That one was funny. That was not supposed to be serious. Uh, yeah, every now and then Cartoon Hooligans throws me some roles that because again, they have like a quick turnaround. Cartoon Hooligans has a very, very quick turnaround. And every now and then, like they just need me to fill a certain role, and they're like, "Hey, can you do this? We need it by this time," and I'll try it. With Nick Fury, I was like, I'm gonna give you a funny take, my funny take, which is like way over the top and was not meant to be taken seriously at all. But at the same time, I was like, please find someone else. I think the only complaint that I have about that is they did replace me. There's now someone else who does Nick Fury a lot, but again, it's another white guy. It's like, dude, please find some black voice actors. Um, just some variety, man. Which I don't know their side of the story, because I know that have had um, black voice actors and mixed voice actors and all kinds of voice actors here and there, and they've all just come and gone. They've never stayed like me and some of the other people. Which so I have no idea what that's about. Have you found dyslexia to be a major hurdle in your career? Yeah, I read for a living. I wrote a book. It's not even that long. To do the audiobook, even just my portion took me like almost like 3 months. And it shouldn't have. It's not that long of a book. It killed me. I had to re-record it over a couple times. What is Cartoon Hooligans? Cartoon Hooligans is a comedy parody show on YouTube. It's where I do a lot of my voices. So go look them up. They got some really funny stuff. They got some really, really good stuff. Yeah. Used to be me and John Bailey, aka the Epic Trailer voice guy. But then he left, and so I took up a lot of roles that he was doing, and I play them a lot more comical. And then they brought in some other people to kind of fill the void. They're growing. They haven't published or posted a lot of stuff very recently. Uh, I don't remember what the reason was. I think it's just because they're kind of I think they're in transition to something, maybe moving to a different studio or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, they're great to work with. They're very funny. And we have Archive 27 says hello, and I say hello back. Hello, Archive. Don't know. You don't look familiar. I'm guessing you're new. You're new. Well, hello. Regardless. But yeah, further in the dyslexia side of the story. Um, yeah, so when it comes to doing voiceover, what I often have to do is have something selected. Um, I pull up the script in often in Google, whether it's in an email or whether it's in a PDF that I just pull up in Google, and I select the area and I have Google read it back to me. To just kind of make sure that I understand it and I'm not getting confused in the words. Kind of give me some context, and then I'll do that a couple times, read over it, and then most of the revisions that I have to do for clients are because I read a word wrong. But I'm always happy to re-record that sentence, re-record that line, free of charge because I know what it's due to. I know what it's because. And a lot of the clients who've been working with me for the longest time know what to expect, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, that's a little word right there. It's all good. Just can you re-record it? Yeah, it's totally fine. Just send it to them." So it does come in, but it's not as big a problem for me as it was before. It's easier for me to do character dialogue than it is for me to do things like commercial narration or e-learning or informational videos. That kind of stuff takes a while. That kind of stuff. First of all, it's not written the way a human being would say it. I don't know who taught people how to write commercial copy, but they should be beaten to death with a brick stick. It's always poorly written. It's not written comfortably or naturally at all. But in character dialogue, it's written most of the time written the way a character would say it, unless it's written by someone who's an amateur. So that's often easier for me to understand and follow along. So there are areas when it's harder. I saw your Deviant art. Oh, yeah. Are you still drawing? I still draw, but I now post pretty much all of my stuff on Instagram. I don't really care for Deviant art anymore. Mostly just because I feel like it's just like it's basically softcore porn. It's really gross sometimes. I don't I don't like it as much. So I post the stuff on Instagram. Mostly just because it's also easier for me to just send something from my iPad, which is where I draw, through to Instagram, rather than having to pull it up on the computer, upload it through DeviantArt, and fill out all the information. It's just easier to do it one way rather than the other one. Mm, Um, but yeah. Um, what's my favorite video of mine? Oh, I don't like any of my stuff. I would say, oof. I like some of the 1 minute fan dubs, because they've turned out really, really well. Um, I don't I don't, I don't generally like my videos, mostly just because when I listen back to them, I'm like, "Oh, I need to redo this. I need to just start over again." Um, but, like, the 1 minute fan dubs, those ones are pretty good. Um, the monologues are kinda funny. I don't like any of the singing stuff. I don't like any of the singing stuff that I do, even though I do try to sing just because it helps with the voiceover. But, yeah. Why are so many VO sites so slow and clunky? I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean? Like, when you try to open them up, it takes forever for everything to open or to load? What do you mean? Um, give me some more context, some more clarity so I can actually answer that one, because I don't think I understand. Uh, but, yeah. Uh, I kind of like the Bunny Girl Senpai one probably the most, the full length one that's on Twitter and Instagram more than the 60-second one that's on YouTube because I had to cut it down for copyright reasons. Well, it depends on the website. I don't know which ones you're referring to. If you're referring to voices.com, voice123, Badalgo, stuff like that, those are often a little bit more chunkier because they're a little bit more. There's a little bit more there on those websites. There's a little bit more functionality. There are a few more features. Voiver. I think Voiver is chunky and kind of doesn't operate right because it's not. It's basically just a copy of Fiverr. It's basically just a copy of Fiverr that doesn't have as much activity and doesn't make as much money. So the servers, the company and their servers aren't as updated. They aren't as they're not getting as much money so that they can constantly eliminate bugs, so they can streamline it and all this kind of stuff. Fiverr, castingcall.club, voice123. These ones have been around for a while, and these ones are the most popular, so they make a lot of money, and so they're able to update a lot of stuff. So that's normally what it is. I think Voiver is more UK based, just like Badalgo is a little bit more UK focused, as opposed to voices.com, castingcall.club. Fiverr are worldwide. They're a lot more worldwide. So they have a lot more coverage. They get a lot more clients, a lot more voice actors. They make a lot more money a lot faster. So they're able to innovate and improve a lot quicker. That's probably the answer. So again, it's not really their fault. It's just inactivity or a lack of funds makes making progress harder. What type of demos did you use when you first got started? Did they have background music, or were they dry? They were probably dry. I think they're still on here. You have to scroll down for years, but I think they were dry, which isn't bad necessarily. The only way that you can actually do a good dry demo is if you have good quality audio. If you have a good microphone, you have a good interface, you have a nice, quiet, treated space to record in, then you can get away with a dry demo. Dry demo, by the way, with no music is actually what you should do when it comes to like audiobook, e-learning, and stuff like that. When it comes to your commercial demo or your character/interactive demo, that is going to be a little bit more produced. That's going to have more sound effects. It's going to have more music. And it's going to feel more like an actual project. So, dry. There's nothing wrong with dry demos, but mine were definitely dry. I've given up on Fiverr and emailing clients and companies directly now. Okay, question: have you given up on emailing clients and companies directly now? Or you've given up on Fiverr and just now are emailing clients and customers directly? Um, Chances are, I think you're probably doing Fiverr not the most advantageous way. Most people's problems when it comes to Fiverr is they have one Fiverr gig that says, I will do voiceover, and they lump everything into voiceover. They lump all their video game, their character, their radio, their commercial, their e-learning, their audiobook. They lump it all into one. That's not how Fiverr works. Fiverr works very specifically. A client goes on there, they know what they're looking for. I am looking for someone to do an audiobook. I'm looking for, a female narrator for audiobook that, has an English accent. So they type in all these things and then they get that list. You have to have a variety of gigs with a variety of demos to have very specific keywords to those particular gigs so that you will come up in search engines. Fiverr is a search engine. That's the whole purpose of it. That's the whole function of it. So if you're not doing that, you're not going to get any attention. You have to cut it into pieces. You have to diversify. So you got one for cartoon, one for video game, one for audiobook, one for radio spot, one for commercial, one for all that kind of stuff. You have to divide it, and you got to be very specific, and you have a different demo for each one. And then you also have to have a catchy visual, something that's going to catch their eye that doesn't look like everyone else's. So those are basically the main mistakes. Ooh, that everyone makes. That I made too. What's your opinion on using previous work for your demos? I mean, if you've actually done it, I mean, if that's your actual work, then yeah, use it as your demo. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I've done a mix and match. I've done kind of in the past, I've done where my demos included some original just demo only stuff, and then some where it was like actual work that I had done. But yeah, you can do both. You can do either or. Also, your first demo, if you're just starting out, you can actually take old auditions that you've done that you really, really like, and you can actually cut those down into your demo. That's something that you can do. That's you know that's actually something that I kind of encourage, especially for a lot of people who don't know how to write copy for a demo. If you're going on, like, let's say you're wanting to do a character demo and you've been going on castingcall.club, you've done a lot of auditions, a lot of stuff that you're proud of. It's all high quality audio. You didn't get the role, whatever, who cares? But you can still take sections of those and cut them together to make a demo. It's already a good script that you were reading, and you gave it your all. So yeah, you could cut those together even if you didn't actually get the role. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, as long as you're not going around claiming that you did get the role. Because everyone knows, especially voice actors know that your demo is fake. There's nothing in your demo that's normally real. That's generally the idea. Sometimes it is, but generally people understand that a demo is made up for the purpose of just selling you as a product. So you can totally just use that kind of stuff. So whether it's either work or it's auditions, you can use those in your demo. Totally fine. I'll let you guys gather some more questions while I get some more water. Mm, 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 mm. Lots of water. Do more working out again. Trying to get back into shape. I'm I, I don't know what you're abbreviating. But it looks almost exactly like the previous person's abbreviations. Um, either say it with words, or I'm probably gonna have no idea what you're talking about. And if you are just creating new accounts and just posting the same thing that's supposed to, is it a link? You're trying to get people with a link. If that's what you're doing, please stop. If it's a question, I'll be fine to answer. Happy to answer the question, but I don't know what that is. But anyway, let's see. What else was I talking about? Oh, there was talking about the project that I was working on. Oh crap. Oh, dude. That's not bad. I want to show you guys, but it's too much of a spoiler. It's too much of a um yeah, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of this. I'm just gonna remove that. I've never seen this. I don't know what this is. This says FYI. Visit Yorktown, Newport, FYI. I'm guessing that's what they're saying. I don't know what that is. I've got a lot of like weird spams on some of these live streams. I had a lot of people say some really weird, gross, and dumb shit. I mean, that one makes no sense. What is that supposed to be? You want to get me on something? Get me on something. You want to prank me? Prank me, but don't be weird about it. Make some sense every now and then. Jesus. Very young nude. If it was like NY, I'd be like, oh, okay, New York. But it's not. But yeah, so my brother, who's an artist, just got back with me for uh, a logo art for for the project that I was talking about. Because I sent him my sample. My brother is a superior artist. He is a phenomenally superior artist. I'm gonna see if I can find some stuff of his in here. I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see it on the webcam, but let's see if I can do this full screen. Can I? Yeah, I can do this full screen. Here's some of his art. I'm gonna see if you can see this. It's meant to be blown out, so it's not just the camera. Oh, that almost looks 3D when I do that. But yeah, he's a superior artist to me. His name is Nathan Banfield. I wish he would take his art a little bit more seriously. He's just a great artist. It's another one. He's someone that I've been dying to work with for like years. This is a little bit easier to see. There we go. That's better. Ever since we were little, he started drawing when he was very, very little. And because we were very close in age, and I was gonna like anything he did, I was gonna do as well. So I started drawing. I started, doodling and doing some art. And my art is not even close. I'm not bad. I've gotten better. It's just not. It's just not close to his. Like not even close. I focus on concept art. Now I'm gonna zoom this in because I don't want you to see part of it because it kind of gives stuff away. So this is mine. Go to the Instagram to get get a better look at this stuff. I don't even know why I'm trying this. It looks terrible on here. So my stuff is very simple. It's just concept art. His is more polished, and he's someone that I'm trying to work with. But yeah. So big project that I'm working on that I'm hoping to pitch before the end of the year. To try to get in front of some people, putting together a pitch Bible. I've never made a pitch Bible before. Normally, I just pitch the script to people because normally it's just been live action. I write a lot of scripts and I'll just pitch those to friends. But this one's a lot more complicated. And like I was saying, it might be, oh, what's the show about? I might, within a month or two, I may do some kind of announcement. I may do some kind of announcement on what it's about, but it's by the way, not all of those pictures, not all those pictures were actually connected. It wasn't like the weird alien and the dumpy guy with the laser and then those two people. Those weren't connected, by the way. Those had nothing to do with each other. But what was I saying? Hopefully I can get it pitched. I've never pitched something like that before. There are some studios that I have kind of soft pitched some stuff, or just kind of like asking, kind of like the smaller studios. If it's a smaller studio, it's a little bit easier to pitch to, but it's not a guarantee that they'll be able to do what you're asking, or what you're wanting. I'm just trying to get an idea as far as like cost and what to expect. But one of them being Rooster Teeth because they have a studio in Austin. But there's some hit and miss stuff with Rooster Teeth. They kind of haven't been treating all their actors and directors and writers, and they've been treating everybody fairly, but they do their own like animation. They have their own publishing or their own uh, pitching and stuff like that, or their own production, their own launch, streaming. They're on streaming. That's what it is. They're on streaming. Jeez, why was it so hard? The word stream is literally right in front of me. Netflix is pretty small. you should pitch to them. Okay, so I think I actually covered this earlier, but I'll totally fine covering this again because it is a big topic. Netflix is really hard to pitch because they're now only doing SAG. They're only doing Screen Actors Guild stuff. So even though I live in a right to work state, which is Texas, which means even if it is part of SAG-AFTRA, I can still technically audition, I can still work, and I can still get paid. However, I do not think that Netflix respects that at all. You have to be a part of the union to pitch, to direct, to act, to write. You got to be part of that. Same thing with voice acting. It's all been union stuff, which means being that a lot of the people that I am trying to work with on this, including myself, are not part of the union. And I don't want Netflix to kind of just take over the whole thing and then kind of boot me out of my own project. I'm kind of waiting to pitch to them until I've pitched to everybody else. I would rather pitch to Amazon. I don't know if they have the same policy, but I mean, after a lot of the stuff that I've seen them launch recently, just in the past year, I think they're doing phenomenally well. There's a couple other smaller studios or smaller platforms and smaller launching services, um, streaming services that I'd kind of would rather work with first. I don't want to go all the way to the top because I know they're going to want to take full control over everything. Um, I'm definitely not going to be asking for that much, especially for the first season, considering most of the people that I already know I'm going to be working with. What happened to that message? Retracted. Okay, I thought it was rejected. I was like, it was right there. I didn't touch it. Oh, what are you doing? I was about to respond to those. All right, rethink your questions, and we can get back to them. But yeah, so it's kind of hard. Thanos snapped. Balanced as all things should be. Um, yeah, so it's tricky. Again, I've never pitched something that was animated. I've never um I've pitched live action stuff. I've written live action stuff, but I've never pitched something that was animated. So it's a little bit trickier. It's a little bit trickier. But it even though so technically the project that I am working on could be done live action, it would cost more in the long run, especially considering I have the full thing outlined, um, to do live action than it would to be animated. So the majority of it is drama. But there are sequences and sections of sci-fi, action, all this kind of stuff, explosions, high stakes, um, that so when you're doing like two people just having a dialogue, doing that live action costs almost nothing. It's very little. It's so cheap. Um, because it's just simple camera placement, simple lighting, just pay the actors. That's basically it. When it comes to animation, it costs more because you're having to animate everything. You're having to create everything from scratch. When it gets to action, however, in live action, you have to have the stunt choreographers. You have to have safety. You have to have it blocked. You have to have stunt doubles. You have to have everything needs to be mapped out. It's 10 to 1,000 times more expensive to do action than it is just to do dialogue. However, in animation, it's very similar in cost because again, you're still creating everything from scratch. You don't have to hire a stunt double because you're drawing the same model, you're drawing the same character. So in the long run, it actually would cost less. Okay, let's see. Gone Like the Wind, yes. Pitch it to Cartoon Hooligans. I don't know if Cartoon Hooligans would be able to do. It's done in more of it's a lot more serious. It's not as comical. I know a lot of people see my stuff and expect more comedy, but if you've seen any of the samples of animation, or if you've seen the art or the monologues that are kind of connected, it's way more serious. It's done a little bit more like it's essentially an anime. It's essentially an American anime. So it needs to have a little bit more a serious realism, a little bit more of a grittiness that um, if they pitched um, the if they showed me that they could do basically frame by frame instead of just the puppet rigging, um, then yeah, I would happily go with them. I mean, I have a good relationship with them, but overall, I don't know. I don't know yet. Um, it's not the kind of animation that I envision. It's not the kind of animation I was looking for. As long as it's under 250K an episode, they typically don't interfere with you much. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's kind of what I've been hearing as well. Um, I don't think it's going to cost that much, especially considering the majority of it happens in a select number of places. And I kind of already have rough 3D models mapped out of what those places look like. So I've done a lot of the previs already. Also, I have the characters. I have the characters drawn out, and I would like some cleaner character models and turn sheets done by my brother, the superior artist. But overall, essentially, a lot of the previs is already done. I'm totally fine if they want to redesign the characters and redesign everything. I'm totally fine with that, but I'm not going in there with nothing. So hopefully that means something. Yeah, I saw the hospital one. Yes, you did. I saw the bed one as well. Thank you. Yeah, that one took me a while because I was tinkering with the idea of doing it all myself, and that took me too long to be able to do 24, 28 episodes, each one about 24 to 30 minutes long. I'd be dead before I'd be done with the show. I'd be very much dead. So definitely can't do it myself. So I definitely have to go to someone else. And I don't have a great success with crowdfunding. All my previous crowdfunding projects have all been ignored. So I can't do that. So I have to pitch this to a studio. Otherwise, nothing happens with it. But I do have some people that um, and here's the good news. I know a lot of people have been wanting to audition, and a lot of people have been wanting to be in some of my projects. And this is actually going to be one that there is going to be a lot of auditions that are going to be open. There are a few characters that I've kind of already cast, very small handful, because they're people that I know and I've been wanting to work with that are in Austin, and just kind of because I wanted to be able to at least do the storyboards of like the first couple episodes, at least the first episode, and do kind of an animatic to also pitch. And so I wanted people that I could bring into my own studio and record, so it all sounded the same, so I could work with them. But there's going to be tons of opportunities, tons of um, uh, audition posting and stuff like that in the future. So expect to see that if I am allowed to do that. If it's the studio that I had approached in the past, um, and I posted something about it on the community section of my channel, as well as on Twitter and on Facebook, where they said that if you go through us, you won't be able to audition anybody. Um, Basically, I wouldn't be able to do my own character. I would be able to audition for my own thing, and they would basically be taking full control over the whole thing. And they would be basically hosting the auditions and assigning the roles to their people or the people that they normally work with, and I would have no control or say over it. So far, that's the only people that I've talked to. I'm definitely not going to be working with them, but yeah. So it just gave me kind of an idea of what to expect. But fortunately, I still got a little ways before I'm really pitching that. I mean, I just finished this, which took a lot of energy out of me. So I'm not in too much of a hurry. I do want to make sure this one's good and this one's right. Um, let's see. What are the questions we got? That's kind of crazy if you can't audition for your own character. Yes, but it's not unheard of. I've heard a lot of stuff that was pitched to like Disney, and Cartoon Network, where they also wouldn't let the creators who were voice actors, who were actors and comedians and writers, really do their own characters to really have anything, basically any part in their own show. Um, However, there have been some successes. There have been some no-name voice actors and some no-name writers who basically kind of like came out of nowhere. I think one great success was Rick and Morty. Um, you know, no one really knew who, you know, either of these guys really were, and nobody really gave them the respect that they needed until uh, Cartoon Network basically, Adult Swim gave them the green light and they let them actually do their thing. But sometimes it is going to be like that. It's going to be where they're just gonna take the reins from you, mostly because they don't wanna waste money, in their mind on something that isn't going to be profitable. And I mean, if you're going to a studio, producer, an executive, whatever, their main focus is profit. Their main focus is making money. That is their job. So I don't blame them. But I normally only like to work with producers and executives who actually have um, creative background. um, if they don't, then, it's kind of, it's kind of, it's kind of hard to work with them. Working yes, regular show as well. Um, you know, it I prefer working with I have tons of experience working with producers and executives who they were never actors, they were never directors, they were never writers, they never worked anything involving the creative aspect. They never even did camera or lighting. They never did any of that. But then they try to put in all of their creative input, which is essentially them trying to overstep the director, the writers, and the actors, all for the sake of doing something by the numbers, which doesn't work. It always ruins it. There's a lot of major movies that have been ruined essentially by producers. There's a lot of shows that have been ruined by producers who didn't really have creative um, experience, but had full control. And that's another thing that I'm trying to make sure that I am very careful with this because I don't want to put in that much time, energy, and effort into something that's just going to be ruined. So I'd rather work with friends. I'd rather work with people that I knew had um, the all of the avenues and all of the funding and all of the equipment and all of the experience that I needed, rather than going through a strange channel, rather than going through people that I just don't know. But for something this scale, kind of have to. Mm. But what I will do is oh oh my gosh. Uh, yes, I'll need to make sure that I have a really high quality previs um, sample that I can leak online to force their hand. Um, which I don't know. Maybe maybe I'll have that because I do plan on recording essentially the first episode, or at least part of the first episode, with some friends and maybe some of y'all, um, to kind of do a rough animatic. I don't know if I'll be able to do the Foley and the musical composing, but yeah, hopefully I'll have something like that that I will be able to pitch and show and share, because I do also want, you know, I definitely want to play the character who's um, written very much to be me. There's not many people that I would accept doing it instead of me. Um, and again, not because I think I'm amazing, not because I think I'm great, just because like this character is literally meant to be me. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be very hard. However, I will try to document the process like I do with all my other stuff, and try to share it. So if you are also someone who's a writer who's wanting to create their own show, um, hopefully I'll have kind of a step by step and advice and guide towards doing that. If it gets successful, I'll definitely try to help people with information. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Um, that's kind of it. I don't plan on leaving turning off the live stream just yet because um I know it's kind of late, so I want to give people enough time to see it. Considering I tried earlier, didn't work. I woke up late, so I didn't I didn't do this normally when I would. So I want to give people enough time to ask as many questions as they can. Um, I think it's fair. I just don't want to leave you guys hanging. Um, oh, read some messages on here. Um, oh, gotcha. Is that a bed behind you? Technically, it's a futon that folds up into a couch and then into a bed. I don't know. It's a sleeping surface. It's a rough. It basically, I would say it's 50% bed and 50% couch, meaning no matter what form it's in, it never functions appropriately as either or. But yeah, that's where I sleep. That's that's where I crash. I spend more time not sleeping though, so I can't wait to get an actual house, set up an actual studio, and have a place where I can sleep and unwind and then work. So I can leave the work in that room, and I can go over here, and I can sleep, turn everything off. I'd love to do that. But when I'm lying in bed, I'm still looking over here and I'm still seeing all of this, and it's reminding me that I have work. That's all it is. And it keeps me up. It drives me insane. Yes. Antarctic Press. The heck is Antarctic Press? I gotta look this up. I'm gonna have to look this up. It's gonna drive me insane. Oh, there's a thing. Oh shit. Oh, it's like a they do comic books. What what relevance would this be to me? I don't do comic books. I don't do comic books at all. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the relevance of that is. Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. Sorry, someone just suggested I think they're watching this. Someone just suggested a potential small company or an animation company to also look into for my project. So that's cool. I'll have to dive deep into this. I'll leave that open. Um, yeah. Um, let's see what else. Uh, I don't. No, I don't want. I don't want to cover that topic again. I don't want to cover that one. Kind of go through all this. Oh, there was a lot of people wanting me to do more Sea Dog VA videos, more Sea Dog VA reaction videos. Um, I will be doing more, but this is not a Sea Dog VA reaction video channel, so I don't want it to just be that for the rest for the rest of my life. Even though he's great, like he's very funny, very genuinely nice guy. One of the reasons I don't want to is because I don't want it to seem too much like um I'm picking fun at someone, or I'm twisting their words, or I feel like their content isn't enough without my input. I don't want that to ever be the case. I want, you know, I always want to have a friendly relationship with people. I have tons of videos where I have reacted to some people's stuff, and when going back over them, trying to edit them, I was not happy with the way I critiqued their stuff. Even though, again, I do not intend I have no ill intent. Um, I always want to keep it very friendly, very cordial. Um, but there are some that people are suggesting that I do for Sea Dog that I may get to. So expect something like that. Um, what else? Oh, here we go. On new videos, I would love to know how you prospect. Do you mean my perspective on no? Please elaborate. For new work. How do I prospect for new work? Maybe I'm just reading that wrong. It's probably my dyslexia. Find. Okay, good. How do I find new work? I think it would be very helpful. Um, well, I basically covered it. But yeah, I can do a video on it. I will say in short, just so people aren't left empty-handed, that one thing is to make sure your demos are are high quality and as many places as possible. And so a lot of that does involve being on basically every single voiceover platform, even if you're not paying for the membership, because you want your demos to be found. And I've gotten a lot of work just by people hearing my demos on various different platforms. Voices.com, Voice123, Bidalgo, all that kind of stuff, castingcall.club, and they've emailed me or messaged me wanting to work with me. And also Fiverr. Fiverr is where I get a lot of voiceover work. Even some clients that I work via email have basically heard my stuff on Fiverr and said that they didn't want to just go through Fiverr every single time. They would rather just work with me directly. So they wanted to set up an email thing. That's happened a couple times. And I know Fiverr doesn't like that. They don't want you to do that. And they would like some exclusivity. There's no way that you can be exclusivity, that you can be exclusively on Fiverr. Um, what Fiverr asks of you is actually ridiculous, because no voice actor, not even professional voice actors, are exclusive to one agent. They're not even exclusive to one state, one city. No one is exclusive to anything. No one is exclusive to one kind of voiceover, one kind of genre, one kind of character, one kind of studio. No one, not one person, lives off just that one thing. So it's a ridiculous request that I think they understand. I think they know, but you know, they um they still kind of ask it of you. Need a reaction to bad voiceover episodes for the new year. I will do some more. I've been gathering um some more videos to react to. Um what's better, Fiverr or Upwork? Fiverr. Period. Fiverr. Um because Fiverr shows up in search engines. When you go into Google and you search voiceover, Fiverr is normally one of the top 5. Upwork doesn't even show up. It maybe it's at the bottom of the first list, or the first page, but it normally doesn't show up. Upwork is also a place where people get scammed a lot more than Fiverr. You get a lot of requests from companies overseas, these like scam companies. They're not real companies. They're just scam companies that that will contact you on Fiverr to set up an account on Upwork so they can work with you or so they can send you money or whatever. Because Fiverr actually has a little bit better of a background check and that kind of like system to try to prevent from being scammed. Upwork doesn't really have that as well and doesn't really ban as many scammers and stuff like that. So Upwork, from my experience, more likely to get taken advantage of. And there's a lot more haggling that happens on Upwork. Now, if you're great at haggling, if you're really good at negotiations, you're really good at making that deal, you might do better on Upwork. But if you're kind of wanting to set up, I suggest that you do both when you first start, trying to find out which one's better for you. But when it comes to Fiverr, you can often just put up a gig as long as you have all the information filled out, you have all the questionnaires, you give them enough information, the sample and the demos are good, you got catchy visuals, there's no questions, you're not leaving the client asking any questions, you fill out all the gig extras appropriately, you'll keep getting orders that you didn't even have to communicate with the client about. And so it's a little bit more passive, it's a little bit more casual, as long as you're doing the right thing. As long as you're making your profile and your gigs appropriately, you'll get a lot of work without having to put in a lot of work to get that work. You know what I mean? Upwork, however, is a little bit more, it's I don't want to say it's too much like Craigslist, but there's a little bit of that where it's the only way you get work is directly connecting to the client after they sometimes have like a job post, or you just like approach them. I'd say it's very similar and on par with LinkedIn in many ways, where it has that kind of back and forth, as opposed to Fiverr is more like they're purchasing a digital object. They're purchasing a digital product. So these are very, very different platforms. These are very, very different. They operate differently. In order to be successful on one or the other is very different. I wouldn't say either of them is better. I know some people who get a lot of work through Upwork. I know some people who get a lot of work through Fiverr. I get a lot of work through Fiverr. I haven't gotten anything through Upwork. The only thing I've gotten through Upwork has all been scams and all been people trying to shortchange me, or even like major studios getting mad at me for charging as much as I do. Which is one of the reasons that I don't really do too much on Upwork. I found this out recently, and I've been dying to post this, but I know it's going to start like a firestorm of it's just going to start some shit. That's all it is. And I found out that my rates are significantly higher than the average rates for doing anime. Even for lead roles. If I was to charge, like if I was to get hired and I went with my rates for an anime, I would basically, I think it would be like 4 times what the average anime voice actor would actually get paid. And I think that's crazy. So there's been some studios that have gotten mad at me for charging as much as I do. However, if you compare my rates to industry standards, what is normally associated with SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is like, I think like half of what like the Screen Actors Guild would normally charge. I don't know. No one's going to be happy. I just found a nice middle ground where I work with the kinds of clients that I do, and I make a good enough amount of money working with those clients. That's fair for me. That's fair for them, and I keep a good relationship with them. Um, but apparently, it doesn't work everywhere. So I don't know. Maybe down the line, if I ever get like an assistant who's familiar with Upwork, then we'll set up something like that. But as of right now, emails, YouTube, people finding my demos online, and Fiverr. That's pretty much it. Twitter. I also use Twitter a lot. What other questions we got? That actually was a good one. I actually like that one. That was really good. I wish I could give you guys points. You could give guys points for better questions. That one's out of 10. I'd say that's probably like 6.5. It's not the first time I've been asked. That's why. That's why it's not. It's not higher up. But it is a good question. What else? Man, been crazy. Oh, I don't know if I actually covered it on at the beginning of this. God, it's been like it's been like 2 hours since I hit that red button initially. If we're including the 30 minutes from before. Studio that I'm working with is having me dub over other voice actors' interpretation of my characters. So I did some characters for a studio. They do multiple cartoon shows, and I did a whole bunch of characters for them. And then they have like different versions of those shows um, that for different countries that also speak English. And I think also that there's a whole bunch that don't, but they have those same characters in them. And so they had other voice actors do those characters, do my characters. And they recently came to me wanting me to dub over those voice actors doing my characters as my characters, but doing the new versions of those characters. So it's very interesting. That's like a first for me. It's in English, so it's not like, it's not like it has to be translated or anything like that. I basically just have to re-ADR it. Um, I don't know, it's very interesting. It's very much a first. And it's not like the other voice actors did a bad job. They did a great job. I think it was just like they preferred my version of those characters. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna take a little while to do those. But, you know, I can finally put that company in my dubbing category, my dubbing list. For the love of God. You again. How many years have I been in the voiceover business? Okay, there's an interesting question. This one's nuanced. This one's really, really long. So I started when I was okay, so I started officially when I was 22. I think that's when I first did anything on voices.com and got paid to do a character. But before that, I was actually doing voiceover technically. Um, I was recording a whole bunch of celebrity ringtones. This is back during the Nokia or Razor flip phone, and where you had to like text in or get a number, and you'd be able it would charge your carrier, and then you'd get like a special ringtone or whatever. And so there was a company that I did a lot of that through. So I'd do like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like answer your phone, do it now, or I'd do like all these other characters, Jack Nicholson, Christopher Walken, all that kind of stuff. So technically, it started there, but I had no idea what I was doing. It was just a really crappy phone, a crappy microphone, all this kind of stuff. And it was kind of it didn't count. And then years later, I actually set up an actual little kind of booth and actually took that microphone and treated the space a little bit and recorded something that didn't actually get used. But the first thing, okay, no, I think the first thing I recorded was for one of those point and click adventure games. That was the first thing, and that's I think that literally the second one was doing Daffy Duck for College Humor. They didn't end up using the sketch, but I recorded, and that was actually a SAG contract. So that was like my first credit. So that's when it technically started. So so that was when I was 22, 21, 22, and I'm now 34. So 12 to 14 years been doing voiceover, technically. Um, sorry, I meant I am getting off Fiverr. I'm just I just got I'm just not getting okay. I'm just not getting um on there anymore. Okay. Yeah, fine. No, yeah, if you gave it a full try, you set up your gigs, individually and all separately, and you had a really good splash screen, you had all the information there, you did everything right and it's still not working for you, yeah, just find another one of the platforms. Every platform Some people are better at different platforms than other. You might be better at Upwork. You might be better at Voiver or whatever. You might be better at castingcall.club. You might be better at just working through Twitter. You might be better this and that. No problem. Not everyone. I mean, like I said, like I didn't get it at first. And I had some rough patches until I understood how to use it, and I was able to set up my gigs appropriately, and now I can set up a new gig and it's pretty much going to you know make a small amount of money in the first couple months. Just because I understand it. That's just because I've used it for a really long time and I know how to fill out all the information. Again, if this just does not work for you, then keep going, keep trying, keep finding others. That's one of the reasons that you need to post your demos and your information on as many different platforms as possible, and then the ones that, start getting the most focus, you focus in on those ones. I never heard of Voiver. How do you spell? You basically spelled it right there. That's it. That's it. You did it. It's exactly how you think it's spelled. I think even if that's off by a little bit, it'll still come up. It's basically Fiverr. It's basically Fiverr, but it's slightly different. There are some differences. I'm just saying, like, if there was something about Fiverr that you just didn't quite get, um, but you would benefit from that kind of platform, there are other platforms like it that are slightly different that may be easier for you to understand, get a good foothold. So just keep looking. It's totally fine. Just keep searching. If you're doing better with the cold emailing, then by all means. I've never had success with cold emailing. That's never worked for me. In fact, I think half of the time, I've gotten some very angry emails and phone calls back. People telling me to not do that, to never do that again. There's been actually quite a few like industry professionals who've told me that doing cold emailing and cold calling is actually a good way of getting blacklisted. I don't know if that's true. I think it all just depends on how you do it. I think if you're spamming people, if you are not even bothering to find out any information on the company and the client that you're trying to reach, and you're just basically just sending your demo in just a spam email, yeah, it's a real good way of getting blacklisted, and getting basically ignored and blocked and stuff like that. But if you're really good at making a connection with them at first before you even send them anything, and actually learn a lot about them and creating more of there's more personality there, then it can be beneficial. It just never worked for me. So, like I said, people have different approaches. People have different tactics. Some things work better for some people. I'm way more introverted, so connecting with people on a one-on-one is very tricky for me. I genuinely, even if I know the person, them trying to contact me via phone call, via Skype, via Zoom, I'm always incredibly nervous just because I really hate that kind of stuff. I would rather text, I would rather message, I would rather, work with clients a little bit more distant. Just again, that's just because that's me. That's just me. And I know that's not incredibly successful and I need to work on that. And I am. But again, we're all just different. So good luck with that if you do try it. And if you do, let me know. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Oh, I don't want to burp into the mic. Oh God, it's just water. It's just water. What's happening? I'm allergic to water. Um, Another thing I don't know if I covered at the beginning of this or at any point in this, but the audiobook for the black dress is still taking a while to finalize and to actually launch. I don't think it's out yet. Um, I have actually uploaded to YouTube, and it's private, um, a a full copy of the audiobook that if for any reason um, I'm not able to actually get the audiobook out there on any other platform, then I'll just have that and somehow make it available to y'all, whether it's temporarily or whether it's members only or whatever. I'll do something for you guys so y'all can actually get to it. Also, we are working on some super chat stuff and some member stuff. Um, but it really kind of feels like Patreon, and I never really liked Patreon. I never really liked working through Patreon and that kind of system. Just because I never really feel like people get uh what they paid for. I never feel like I'm ever actually able to offer what you guys really need from me. Um, so I'm really hesitant about that kind of stuff, but I am trying to work on that. Have you looked at Audible for the audiobook? Yes, I did. However, even though the book is on Amazon, for some reason, in order to work through Audible, maybe I was doing something wrong, because again, this is my first book ever. This is the first time I've ever like made a book, launched a book, made a paperback, audiobook, anything like that. Um, in order to you have to connect the audiobook to the book on Amazon. So you have to type in the book, select that's mine, and then connect the audiobook to it. Well, for some reason through Audible, even though the book is available on Amazon, it was not able to find the book. And so I wasn't able to launch anything on Audible personally. So I had to go through Find Away Voices to get all that done. Basically, they're going to launch it to a whole bunch of different platforms, and I kind of prefer that because I don't know which ones are going to have issues and which ones it's actually going to launch. So hopefully, going through something like that, even though I'm going to be making significantly less and I'm going to have less control, hopefully it should still be able to be found and be purchased and listened to on at least some platform. So that's what I'm hoping. But as of current, it's basically been processing for about 2.5 weeks, and I still don't know anything. Um, I would say give Audible a call. They are really nice. Um, I may try that, but since I've already gone through Find Away Voices, I don't know if I can. And they're already basically doing that on my behalf. I don't know if there's any reason for me to. But if for some reason it doesn't get launched through Find Away Voices or still has trouble with Audible, then I will go through Audible myself and I'll try to contact them individually. This is just the first book I've ever done. Um, first, I am going to try to get a hold of a whole bunch of these just in case anybody wants a signed copy, because there was like 5 people that were asking for one. And then try to have signed copies ready to go. But I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm really hesitant about stuff like that because I don't consider myself um, signature worthy. I don't consider myself John Hancock worthy. Hey Tim, howdy. How are you? Sounds great. Thank you. But yeah, like I said again, the audiobook is going to be available on some level. Is going to be available on some level. However, I can get it out there to you guys, it's going to be available. I just don't know yet. I'm just kind of waiting to find out whether or not this avenue is a total waste of time or not. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna keep rolling because again, it's really late, and I want to make sure that everyone had a chance and opportunity to get on these because I don't do these on a regular basis, and I don't, I don't advertise. I'm really terrible at sharing and being consistent. I'm really terrible at that. That's why I need uh, a really good assistant. I really need to get to a point where I can have like someone who's cracking a whip over my own stupid head. Um, I'd also love to get to a point where my dyslexia isn't so bad that I can actually read my own book live without all these mistakes. Because it took me a while to do my own audiobook. Um, it took me forever. And like, I wrote this. I know these words are familiar to me. All of this is familiar. Why is this taking me so long? So, um, I was on the radio for 20 years. Signing autographs gets easier after the first 1,000. I've signed autographs back when I did a whole bunch after I was on the Tonight Show in 2011. There's a lot of people, especially in the town or the city that I was in. A lot of people were familiar with me, and they came up and signed autographs. It's not. It's the fact that I don't feel like I would kind of rather take photos with people rather than sign autographs. And I've actually talked to um, some friends about this. I would rather because an autograph, I feel like that piece of paper or that book or that whatever is going to get lost, is going to get destroyed, is going to get torn up. The photograph, however, is going to be on the internet and it's going to eventually get into the hands of the government. So it's never going to get lost. It's never going to get destroyed. There's always going to be someone who's going to have it. But uh, I would rather um, take a photograph. It because then it's like me and the other person in the picture. Just my signature. I don't feel like there's anything that I've never feel like there's anything that I've done. I don't feel like there's anything that I'm a part of or anything that I offer that's worth just a scribble. You know, there's nothing that I've done that elevates that scribble above other scribbles. That's kind of how I feel. I've always felt that way, and it's always very, very awkward and weird for me. And again, it's not that I don't appreciate people liking my stuff, people appreciating my stuff, people having fun or enjoying the things that I do. I love that. I would rather have a one-on-one conversation, find out what it is that someone likes about something that I've done or what I've offered, rather than people getting a signature. It just feels weird to me. Also, anytime I've gone to a convention and I'm in line to get a celebrity signature, and I've done that a bunch, I walk away and I feel nothing. I feel nothing for the signature. I was like, yeah, I mean, like, it was cool being like, feet away from them, but I would rather just have like a one-on-one conversation with them. And if I can't have like a personal moment, um, this signature doesn't mean anything to me. Like it has no value, you know. So I was within spitting distance of them. Okay, cool. It doesn't, there's no lasting memory. There's no lasting moment. They're not going to remember me. I'm not going to remember them. I mean, I remember them because I remember their face. But like, I'm not going to remember what happened or anything like that. Like, there's nothing there. So that's kind of why I don't. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the signature, but I do respect and understand that it is valuable to some people, and if it brings some people joy, then I am open to that. It's weird for me. It's just very, very weird for me. It's also why I've turned down a lot of opportunities to be at, like, some conventions, and why I haven't gone to a lot of conventions. Um, and maybe this is all just because I don't value myself like I should, that I don't have the, self-motivation or the self-respect to see myself or anything that I do as being worth a damn. Probably need to sit down in a chair with a therapist over that, but I'd rather hear from people. I'd rather have personal one-on-one moments. Those are more valuable to me, and I think those are more valuable to other people, which is why I do like doing the live streams. Even if they are poorly scheduled, even if they, there's not a lot to them, even if there is um, just not a lot there. I do want there to be something, some moment for people to connect with me. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna leave this open for a few more minutes, let a few more questions come in, and then I'll probably be done because it is getting really late for me. It is 9 p.m. on my side. Even if you spend half an half an hour alone. Yes. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. Oh, it's like Pokemon. Gotta spam them all. Um, who's your favorite stand-up comedian? Oh, okay. Ooh, this is a good question. I totally forgot we were even talking about comedy at any point in time. Um, I would say it depends on for what reason. I do have some answers, so I'm not just skipping it. Um, there are funny people and there are great comedy writers. Those are the two kinds of comedians. Kevin Hart is a funny person. His personality, the way he says certain things, the way he delivers lines, his physicality on stage makes him a funny person. People like John Mulaney are great comedy writers. He's not physical on stage. He's not crazy. He's not, um, you know, but his comedy writing is really really good. Those are two contrasts. So my favorites, technically, so I'm more of a funny person. I'm not a great comedy writer. So the people that I respect the most are great comedy writers because I would like to be more of like a great comedy writer. So Bill Burr. Actually, I think Bill Burr falls more in the funny person category. Um, but because I don't know how much of what he does is actually exactly the way he wrote it, and how much of it is just his crazy personality. But so Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Kyle Kinane, and Brian Regan. Those would be my top 5 comedians. I hate narrowing it down to top 5, but those are the guys that constantly come to mind. There's tons of others. That would also shuffle in the list, but off the top of my head, those are kind of like those are the guys that I respect the most. As far as like comedy specials, top comedy specials, um, I don't really remember these by specials, but I would say one of my absolute favorites was Louis C.K.'s "Oh My God," I think that's what it was called. It's a round stage, surrounded all around. He's wearing a blue polo. That one I think had some of his best bits. I don't think he's lost it, but there was something about some of those gags, some of those jokes that I liked the most. I don't remember what it was. Um, Kyle Kinane, I can't think of any specials that he's done, but I was referencing this a lot to a lot of new comedians when they were wondering. Um, there's a particular comedy style that I have, and it's called levels of absurdity. And it normally only works with like storytelling comedians. Levels of absurdity isn't really a phrase that's used when it comes to comedy, but it's like one-liner comic. One-liner comics are people that basically use one or two sentences. That's a setup, and then there's a twist punchline. That's the following sentence. Um, but layers of absurdity is you take a simple concept, and then every time you go to a what if, what were they thinking? Could you imagine? All that kind of stuff. You ramp it up one more level of absurdity. You increase its bizarre strangeness and abstract factor. So for Kyle Kinane is a great example of this. If you look up his bit called "Pancakes on a Plane," it's a very simple premise. It is he saw someone on a plane eating pancakes. It's very simple. And this bit should really only be like a minute long, but it's like a 7 to 8 minute bit because of how good his writing is and how many layers of absurdity he adds to it. So I can't think of the special, but that is probably one of the best examples of where I learned to get better at writing. Is that? Hope that answered that. Um, do you have a actor, voice actors that you hold in high regard? I have a lot of voice actors that I hold in high regard. Some of them I've gotten to meet personally. Uh, I mean, obvious. There's some obvious. I don't want to name too many of the obvious, but I mean, there's obviously Mark Hamill, great, great voice actor. I mean, obviously made the Joker and made crazy villains what they are. Um, and he's been in a lot of other stuff. It's not just the Joker, obviously, but he is, I mean, phenomenal. He's just amazing. Robin Williams, another obvious answer. He Robin Williams basically. So before, voice acting was very cut and dry. It was very by the books. It was very by the script. It was very, it was very in a box. Robin Williams destroyed that box for everyone forever. Um, you could do improv, you could be crazy, you could add character, you could be loud, you could shout, you could be quiet, you can do all this kind of stuff. He showed how far out you could stretch the walls. And that's what he brought to the genre. Um, and, you know, the original Aladdin is one of my favorite movies as a kid to this day. One of my favorite characters. I would also say people like Bob Burgundy, but not so much his business practices. I'm just very familiar with a lot of his work. He's a very hardworking voice actor. The reason I say not a lot of his business practices because he's a little cutthroat. He's a little old school Hollywood, if you know what I mean. There's been some stories about him about his tactics for getting work and eliminating competition. And I don't have any firsthand experience with that. I have had a one-on-one email conversation with him. I think he's a very friendly, very nice gentleman. Um, that I have personally gotten to meet. And he's also done a lot of good when it comes to trying to make the Screen Actors Guild a little bit more approachable for new talent. He's trying to make it. He was one of those people that was kind of pushing for the Screen Actors Guild to adapt to the new community. However, he also very much shits on the indie side and the kind of the websites like Badalgo, Fiverr, voices.com, castingcall.club, that kind of stuff. He does kind of come down on those because he is still a little old fashioned. He likes the agents, he likes the managers, he likes to going into studios, he likes all that kind of stuff. But I would still say that he has made a huge impact on the industry. There are some others. There's a bunch of others that I would say um, oh, okay. I'll get to that in a second. There are a bunch of others that I would say are ooh, don't want to bourbon again into Mike. There are a bunch of others that I think have made huge impacts. Some people that I've met personally, John Bailey. A huge fan with John Bailey. I have this running joke that if I could have a rivalry with any other voice actor, it'd be John Bailey. Not because I don't like John Bailey, it's just because I love John Bailey. Also because he and I were basically the two voice actors on Cartoon Hooligans for a while, and then he backed out, and I took all of his roles. However, he's doing much better with his career than I am. He's always leaps ahead of me. But I've met him. There's always been this kind of like fun rivalry between us. Who knows? Maybe he actually hates me. I don't know. Actually, if he did hate me, I'd love that a little bit more. And then I'd be like, anytime I saw him, I'd go up and try to hug him. Like that's that's what I'd do. But yeah, no, but that answers the question. Hey, Mr. Banfield. Tim is fine, but Mr. Banfield is also okay. I'm having some trouble with noise coming from my computer into my recording. Okay. I'm thinking about buying a Zoom recorder to plug into my SM57 instead of what interface are you using right now? That's what I'd like to know. What interface are you using as of current? Um, because it could just be because I mean, depends on which Zoom recorder you're getting. I mean, if you're getting, let's see if I can get this bad boy. I mean, if you're getting one of these guys, ugh, which is, oh, it's not even in here. Oh, it's behind me. I'll put you there. I'll take these off. I don't know why I'm trying to stretch it over there. Boop. Can I get this in here? Can I get this in the shot? Yeah, kind of. If it's like one of these, the Zoom H6, I mean, this is like a $400. I mean, it's really clean preamps. Don't get me wrong. It's really good. Power's nice. It has great features. It also has safety, which I definitely recommend. And mine doesn't technically work as an interface you can plug into the computer, but these ones normally do have that capability. Mine just for some reason it just gave out. So now I just use it as the SD card thing. So those are pretty good. But okay, let's see. U22. Okay, I'm gonna look that up real quick. Zoom U22. Sounds familiar. I think I've touched it. Oh. I mean, yes, you could do that. I don't. Okay. I haven't heard too many great things about that particular device. I've heard some people say that it is jank and it does have problems, so I can't recommend it if you're asking for a recommendation, because I haven't personally used it. I can recommend the, Zoom H6 and the Zoom, what was it, H4? H4n, something like that. That line of them I can recommend because I have used them. I've even used, like, some of the big field recorders. I can recommend, like, those. As far as that one, I don't know if I can recommend it because I haven't used it. Um, I would say it might be overkill. It might be unnecessary. It might be too much. You may not need something that big. You may not need something that expensive, rather. Um, but so let's see. Oh, wait, okay. Question: Is the one you're currently using the U22, or is the one you were thinking of getting the U22? Probably should have asked that. I'm thinking about the H5. Let's look that one up. Ooh, ba-doo. Mhm. Yeah, I think the H5 would be good, but again, this is $300. I don't know if that's necessary. Um, so if you're getting noise from your computer, um, it could just be a simple matter of getting some cables that would allow some longer cables that would allow you to put some distance between you and your PC. Um, and but another question would be, yes, the U20 is my current. Okay, gotcha. So it may just be that you need to get some longer USB cables and or a longer mic XLR cable, so that you can put some distance between you and your computer. Um, and then I don't know if you have an iPad or what have you, to actually read your copy off of. What you could do is just put some distance between you and your laptop, have it already ready to go, hit record, have longer cables, put yourself in your isolated space and then read off an iPad or your phone or whatever instead. So you may just have to do that. It may not need to be, spending $300 to $400. Uh, because here's the thing, even if you get one of those devices, even if you get a $300 to $400 device, you might still have the problem. You're just going to have to get further away. You're still going to have to isolate yourself from all sound sources. So definitely deal with that part first. Definitely deal with putting some distance between you and all noisemakers. Y'all can hear my laptop here. At least I think you can on the stream. Maybe you can't. But it's in kind of an isolated kind of box that still gets air circulation. And then I record remotely with extended cables, like very long cables that allow me to operate at a good distance in my voiceover space that has like a closing door. So I can actually use different interfaces. I can use different mics. I can use different all kinds of things because I'm able to isolate. They're all going to sound a whole lot better because I'm able to get away from the sound source. Yes, give that a try. I definitely recommend that first because you can buy, longer cables for all kinds of things that it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying a whole new interface. Because if you buy a whole new interface, you still have the same problem. You still got to buy those cables anyway. Now you've just blown a whole bunch of money. So definitely make sure that you can isolate your microphone and your interface away from the computer to then get a better idea of how it sounds, then make the judgment of whether or not you need to replace it. Because if you're getting stuff that has nothing to do with the interface, has nothing to do with the microphone into the recording, you can't judge the microphone or the interface accurately. So you have to get them separate so that you can actually get a better idea. So I hope that helped you. But yeah, I do love this thing. This is part of the setup that I'm planning on using later on. Haven't used it yet. Sorry, I just responded to a message, giving you guys a little bit more time. Yeah, if I got like 2 minutes, I'm going to be out of here. Boop. Hey, Tim, I have dyslexia as well. I find that my eyes jump around less reading ebooks than physical books. How about you? I haven't noticed that. I think it really just kind of depends on what kind of dyslexia you have. Mine is, I don't see. Sometimes I see letters and words that aren't there, or sometimes don't see letters and words that are there. What's happening is so my brain is taking longer to process what it's actually saying, what it's actually looking at. So I'm looking at an S, and it takes a while for it to register that's an S. So before I actually focus in, it's this kind of weird mishmash, jumbled mess, and then it kind of like focuses in and becomes what it actually is. So for me, it's just that I have to take my time reading a little bit slower, or I have to memorize it in order to actually be able to go through it. So I haven't actually noticed that. I feel like it's the same for me. I think it kind of depends on what your dyslexia is. Some people, their dyslexia is based more on kind of ADHD, where um, they get really bored reading something basically, and they just want to get through it as quick as possible. And so there's kind of the opposite of mine, of they really want to go through, but they're not giving their brain enough time to actually catch up. Um, Dyslexia has like I think like hundreds of different like variations, but that's mine. I don't know what yours is, but I have not noticed that. Thank you. Yeah, that is probably going to be it for this live stream. I wish this went over smoother earlier on. I would have been able to catch more of you guys, but hopefully this answered enough questions. If all goes well, I should have an actual video coming up this Saturday because I'm not going to be leaving town this Saturday. So hopefully that will all be good. We'll see. I promise nothing. Oh, here we go. I like your older reviews of the Euphoria. Yes. I really want to buy it because Phantom Power I have is not enough. Okay, yeah. There are different levels of Phantom Power, and you definitely need 48 volts for most microphones, but some of them, some mics, especially like ribbon mics and stuff like that, and some of them need a little bit more, or some Phantom Power doesn't go all the way up to 48. So, but yeah, it's a really nice little interface. I actually gave that one away to someone, a friend of mine who came in here to record. Actually, she was one of the voice actresses for the book. Basically, instead of paying her, I gave her some replacement audio gear because she lost hers. So she was very sweet. Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate the time. Well, thank you all of y'all for being here. I will try to. Maybe we'll do more live streams as more of a members thing, so they can be a little bit more regular. I'll try to find the perfect time to do it and try to hopefully block that out. But also, hopefully, I'll get some actual videos coming out sometime soon. So, thank you guys. Links to everything that you may need are in the description, including my coaching email. So if you have any specific questions that are really, really personal, or you just need some help with something, after this is all done, you can find them there. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back on another stream to talk to you guys sometime soon, or do a video. Hear that fly. And that's it. It's gonna be it. So till next time. Peace.